What you pay attention to, what you react to, what you choose to be emotionally involved in, this is where your life changes, and this is where your reality is shaped. Marcus Aurelius says that we choose between peace and our ego all the time, but we usually don't realize it. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. If we paid attention to everything said, if we reacted to everything, our lives would be filled with stress. So instead, we can apply the same rule to our emotional reactions. There are 2 types of people in this world. One type reacts to everything. They let every little thing get to them, and the other type of person doesn't let anything affect them. They ignore almost everything. The Stoics say we should aim to be like the second kind of person who doesn't waste their energy reacting to everything. Epictetus, a former slave-turned-philosopher, tells a story about a coat belonging to a man named Demetrius. He goes to a tailor and asks him to make a few adjustments. A few days pass, and instead of returning the coat as requested, the tailor calls up Demetrius and tells him to come pick up his new coat. Furious, Demetrius rushes to the tailor shop and starts yelling at the man. But the tailor responds calmly, "You asked me to make some changes to your coat." "I did," says Demetrius, "and you made many more than I asked for, making it smaller and altering it in many ways." Then the tailor says, "Would you rather I had done what you asked?" "Yes, of course." "Then come back tomorrow, and you will find it as you wish." Demetrius says, "No, I want it now." And he grabs the coat. But as he does so, he rips the stitching. This was exactly what the tailor had warned him might happen. Not wanting to admit his fault, Demetrius becomes even angrier and starts to tear the coat even further. The tailor looks at him and says, "You see how anger harms you more than anyone else." Epictetus then adds, "So he tore the expensive garment to pieces, not realizing that it was his own hands that had ruined it." We often get carried away by our emotions, but when we do, we lose control of ourselves. As Marcus Aurelius writes, when you feel anger rising within you, stop and reflect on what it is you are feeling angry about. Then ask yourself, is this really so terrible? Is this really injustice? Or is it simply that you were too tightly wound up in your expectations and plans? When we realize that we are overreacting, we can take a step back and choose how we respond. And it's always best to respond rather than react. By responding, we mean consciously choosing what to be upset about and what not to be upset about. By reacting, we let our emotions dictate our actions. If we look at the news today, there is plenty to get upset about. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us that just because something happens doesn't mean that it affects us. We choose to be affected by it. If someone shouts at you, they may have problems at home, or they may have just woken up on the wrong side of bed. It's none of your business. You choose to let it bother you. We don't know what's going on behind the actions of others, so it's best not to take anything personally. You can't control what others do, so you shouldn't let it cause you distress. How we respond matters. How we shape our perspective matters. Take, for instance, the Olympic Games. For the athletes, the Olympics are a lifetime of dedication, pushing through injuries and sacrifices. But for the spectators, the Olympics are just a few days of fun and entertainment. Yet both parties invest heavily in the event. Both groups want it to go well, but their perspectives differ completely. Seneca says, "The man who is everywhere is nowhere." Why? Because he has no perspective. He doesn't know what's important. He's constantly being distracted by everything that's happening around him. Seneca says that we should distinguish between things that are in our control and things that aren't. He says, "Of the things which are subject to our will, some are in our power to do, others are not in our power to do. But things which are not in our power to do are not our concern. For example, the weather is not under our control, but we pay attention to it and worry about it all the time. The actions of others are not under our control, but we get upset by them. What other people say or do is not under our control, but we let it affect us. We are responsible for how we respond to external events. In other words, we can choose to be indifferent to things that are not under our control. But why should we do this? Why should we ignore most things? Well, Marcus Aurelius says that when you eliminate unnecessary desires, you also eliminate unnecessary suffering. He says, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Your thinking determines your emotions and your behavior. It's like a chain reaction. If you think happy thoughts, you feel happy and act happy. But if you think negative thoughts, you feel negative emotions and you act in a negative way. That's why Marcus Aurelius says that we must choose our thoughts carefully. He says, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." When we focus on the negative, our reality narrows down. We start to only notice bad things. We start to only pay attention to people who bring us down. Everything that's good in our lives seems less significant compared to the negative things that we are focusing on. But when we expand our minds and start focusing on the positive, everything changes. We open up to a whole new reality. We see all the good things in our lives and we appreciate them. You probably know someone like this, someone who is always seeing the glass half full, who is always finding good things to be thankful for. Their positivity is contagious and it rubs off on those around them. On the other hand, you probably know someone who is always negative. No matter what happens, they find a way to turn it into a negative experience. They complain a lot and it makes everyone around them feel miserable. Here's the thing. Life is neither good nor bad. It's what you make of it. When we focus on the negative, we make our lives miserable. When we focus on the positive, we make our lives joyful. Marcus Aurelius says that our life is dyed by the color of our thoughts. What color will you choose? People who refuse to be emotionally involved in everything can seem cold and uncaring, but actually, they are quite the opposite. They have chosen to care deeply about a few things, but they have refused to let everything else affect them. This allows them to give their full attention to the things that really matter to them. They are fully present in the moment, enjoying their relationships, appreciating the beauty around them, and pursuing their goals with all their heart. They are not distracted by the noise of the world. They are not bothered by the opinions of others. They are not stressed out by the uncertainties of the future. They are focused on what they can control, and they have learned to let go of everything else. The Stoics say that the key to happiness is not getting upset by things that are not in our control, but there's a catch. We need to know what's in our control and what's not. Otherwise, we won't know what to focus on. We won't know what to let go of. This is why Marcus Aurelius says that we should ask ourselves 3 questions before we do anything. Can I do it? Is it up to me? Does it depend on me? These questions help us determine what's in our control and what's not. They help us focus on what we can influence and let go of everything else. In fact, the Stoics recommend that we make a daily practice of asking ourselves these questions. By doing this, we train ourselves to become more aware of our thoughts and actions. We train ourselves to be more intentional with our energy and attention. And ultimately, we train ourselves to be happier and more resilient in the face of adversity. The next time you feel yourself getting upset by something, ask yourself, is this up to me? Does it depend on me? And if the answer is no, then let it go. Focus on what you can control and trust that everything else will work itself out. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be. Remember, you're not as clever as you think you are. Don't take everything personally. Don't get upset by everything. It's not worth it. Just let it go. If you liked this video, you'll love the next one. Click here to watch this video.